Hi guys, and welcome back. So in this part of the course, we're going to be talking about emotional set points. Okay, so back in the introduction video, we talked about how emotional set points are where we sit down our emotional understanding, our emotional perspective of how to respond to our given environment, okay? And based on that emotional set point is how we attract via emotions, okay? So a good example of this is if you had a good mental thinking, but your emotional set point was still in a place of being triggered, in a place of coping, in a place of maybe constantly feeling unworthy, then you may attract someone who is healthy in a mental aspect, but not healthy in an emotional aspect, where you become codependent with this person and they become avoidant, like a cat and mouse chasing game. I think when we think about twin flames, that is one of the biggest things. And it's because both of you have similar wounds that have created this type of hostile and clingy idea. And so when you want to remove yourself in that flight or flight idea, what you want to do is to make sure that you no longer chase and this person will chase you. And so in this emotional set point, we need to understand this. As we come into understanding how we become attached, okay, the first thing that we'll talk about are attachment styles. Now, I'm not going to go super in depth with this because we do have a few lessons on attachment styles. But attachment styles are made via our own intrinsic understanding of the way that we were loved as children and as young adults. Whether that love was narcissistic, whether it was unconditional, or, well, if it was lacking in any way. Sometimes we have love that's overbearing, right? And based on that, we'll create certain ideas about how we receive love and how we give love. A lot of people who are empaths tend to be over-giving, and they will give too much, and then they are upset in the end because they did not receive the same amount of love in which they gave. And a lot of the times, the persons that are attracted to people who give a lot of love are people who need a lot of love and have very little love to give back. Okay? So it's very important that we see that both in our friendships, our family relationships, and our personal relationships. Okay? That we understand where our needs aren't getting met, that we communicate them, and that we're able to elevate from that point. We also need to find an intrinsic place to heal and feel accepted in order to change our attachment style, as it can be changed, but it needs to be healed first, which is why it's more so in the shadow work side of the course, so that you can really go deeper there. And so more on the emotional set point is that you are going to have to come into an understanding that the emotional set point is a place where you're truly able to elevate the way that you feel about yourself, okay? You have to take care of yourself. You have to care for yourself. You have to acknowledge your own feelings and emotions and deal with them and work with them and talk to your inner child who has been begging for you to pay attention. Okay? So we want to make sure that as we are coming into this, as we are understanding what we are creating, we are then going to elevate this in a way that is going to create an amazing, amazing place for you. As we go along, it'll become more and more obvious how important this is, how important your own self-care is, and what you do for yourself when no one is looking, what you do for yourself when no one is around. What do you do to make yourself feel good? And is that healthy? Or is it creating more of the things that you wish you weren't like or you don't like about yourself? So we will address that in a different lesson, but I do want to bring it up here so that you can start looking at, how do I care for myself? If I even care for myself, what does that even look like? What would those needs even look like if I wanted them to be met, right? Then the next thing that I would say is allow yourself to be more open with who you are and allow yourself to receive more understanding and more elevation, okay? When it comes to your biggest functionings, your biggest wounds, your biggest processors. Sometimes people have a hard time processing their emotions in the moment. Have compassion for yourself for not speaking up for yourself in a moment, or for not defending yourself, or for not asserting a boundary or saying anything in general. Sometimes when we get into a place where we are faced with confrontation, and over time, you'll develop enough confidence and self-esteem to speak up for yourself. But it's important that you still acknowledge your own feelings, that you still fortify yourself, that just because that person said something or just because this situation happened doesn't mean that you're any less of an amazing being, and that you maybe just made a mistake, or this person maybe just projected their own insecurities and feelings and situations onto you. It's very important that you give yourself that space. So I hope that this resonated with you, and I hope that in some way I've enlightened you into how you tap in emotionally with yourself. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Bye.